Yo, welcome to this episode of the Bionicle Inspiration series. Today we're going to be spotlighting Piraka-themed mocks to give you some ideas and some inspiration. Now, normally when I do a Piraka episode of this show, I focus on the iconic Piraka characters. But remember, the Piraka are a team of Skakti, and Skakti, they're their own species. So today we're also going to look at a few Skakti characters in today's episode. That way you can use the pieces from the Piraka and make your own original characters. So let's go. Joxon has made our first mock today, and it's called ZAKTAN the Snake. Now look at this exceptional head design. Joxon has done a phenomenal job here of replicating ZAKTAN's original rubber mask, but this time he's using various system pieces to achieve this similar look. Now I think this eye design is especially awesome, using these red antenna pieces here, but flipping that black antenna piece that does come off. And then when you do that, you get this really interesting snake-like eye design. It's genius. Now, sure, these eyes don't light up like they did on the original set, which was such a good play feature. But hey, this eye design looks so menacing and evil, so that's impressive. The new horns sticking out of their head, I quite like those. The big toothy grin here, which does appear to have some level of posability. Well, I think that's awesome. And that's an improvement on the original set too, because the mouth on the set, that didn't open and close. I like these Hordika masks here on the upper legs. That's a really nice touch. I love these golden Ninjago blades on the weapon here. That's just such a great way of replicating the original weapon that ZAKTAN had. But do you see this little gold gear piece here on ZAKTAN's weapon? Well, that piece is a rather unique one. It actually comes on a Knight's Kingdom set, much like this one, for example. So if you destroy this torso piece, you unfortunately have to break it beyond repair, but if you do so, inside there's a whole variety of interesting gears and different pieces. So look, if you want gears that look something like this, and maybe you want to use them as accessories or a way to kind of detail up your mock, well, go buy a Knight's Kingdom torso piece, smash it up, and use these pieces to do something similar. I mean, these pieces do come from a Lego set. Even though you have to destroy it to get to them, it still kind of counts as Lego pieces. Now, Socket and Ball Torture gives us a cool-looking Skakti mercenary. My favorite detail here has to be these technological advancements on the eye. Adding some kind of like scope or night vision goggles here, whatever they are, it looks sick. And what makes this even better is the fact that this allows you to take Hakan's face and add something on top of it. That way it looks a lot less like Hakan himself, and now it just kind of becomes your own unique character. You could totally do something like this on your own creations. Maybe you're using Liwa's mask and you put a scope eye on it. That way people aren't going to look at it and go, oh, you've built a Liwa mock. You can go, no, it's my own original character because they've got a scope eye. It differentiates it in such a nice way. Clever. This sword design is really nice. This blade piece here, it comes on this wonderful Ninjago dragon set. It's always nice to know that modern Ninjago sets sometimes give us pieces like this that just perfectly integrate with Bionicle stuff. That's something that Ninjago has been consistently doing for many different years. It's delightful. I'm very glad LEGO still does that. Any subtle way they can give us kinda sorta new Bionicle pieces, I'll take it. We also have this interesting lime hose piece that connects the sword onto the arm. That's a cool addition. Yeah, I think this is a really amazing character. Well done. Lux Constructs has built our next mock, and it's called Torian. So we're going back to what we saw in our first mock, a lovely brick-built custom head design that bears a very strong resemblance to the original Piraka faces. And I think this looks killer. Plus the custom dark green spine that runs down the back, wonderful. And sure, those spikes are pretty cool, but I really like these silver spikes on the shoulders. These remind me of the original sets, where the rubber masks and the spine piece that stemmed out of the back of it, it would also link up onto the upper arms, and then you'd have additional spikes kind of flaring out of the shoulders. And I like that this design keeps that going here, but they've spiced it up a little bit, changed it up. And I like that it's silver instead of dark green. It's all just very cool. This weapon's also pretty wonderful. I can't tell if it's meant to be a guitar or a ukulele, or if it's meant to be like a battle axe that also doubles as some sort of musical instrument, but either way, I love it. It's always good to see mocks that don't have weapons and instead they have musical instruments. You don't always see it that often, but I love it when people do it. Now for a unique fusion of Vizon and Vizok that was built by Forge of Ataka. So for those of you who don't know, the character known as Vizon, he was created when the Spear of Fusion divided Vizok into two separate characters. And yeah, this mock is bringing that to life. I like that idea, building a mock that showcases a character from a very specific moment in their life. I'm sure this moment only lasted a few seconds in the Bionicle story, but see, that in itself, it shows how much the builder, Forge of Ataka, loves Bionicle. They love it so much they're going to immortalize even those few seconds of storytelling into an actual build. That's commitment. But the idea of, well, I guess almost a conjoined twin for a Bionicle character. Clever. Obviously they separate later, but you know, in this form, that's how they look. And I quite like how they've done the asymmetry here. They're both wearing capes, but each side has a very different color. The cape is a little more tattered on one side or a little bit more uniform on the other. It's cool. I don't know, this is just so unique and clever and really not something you see every day. So I had to include it. I love this. Now, Anuku brings to life this awesome mock called Dark Hunter Sting. So we've got another original Skakti character today. But what I like about this one is that it's not using the rubber mask that originally came on Vizok. Instead, it's using the piece that came on Vizok's canister. So if you weren't aware, every single Piraka, they had that little mask on the top of the lid on their canisters. And you could actually remove that if you wanted to. And certainly the pro of using this mask instead of the rubber mask is the fact that it doesn't have all of that annoying spine stuff coming out of the top of it. So that way you get all the beautiful joys of using this iconic head design, but you can do whatever you want for that spine detail on the back. And then here we see Anuku using Nocturne's spike pieces, the glow-in-the-dark ones. And that looks great. I'm glad that they're able to really customize that to their own liking. And you could totally do the same if you use some of the other canister mask pieces that came on the Piraka sets. I also like that Anuku uses the torso piece that appeared on the Jyn Erso Star Wars Ultra Build set. This one right here. We can see there's a whole bunch of different printing on this torso piece. There's straps, there's different pouches, there's all kinds of stuff. And it makes them look a lot more like a Dark Hunter because it looks like they're decked out with all kinds of different fancy gear and different accessories to help them accomplish their missions. That's just cool. And you also just very rarely see that piece being used on mocks. Yeah, this is a great piece and this is a great mock. And finally, Bonkarella, they've given us Versin Skakti Technomancer. Hey, look, we got ourselves another cool looking scope eye. Isn't that wonderful? It's slightly different to the one we saw before, but this one still looks epic. My favorite part here though has to be this waist design, using some of these CCBS bone pieces. They're the same ones that appeared on some of the G2 Skull villains. Yeah, using those to form little pistons on the torso, that's great. The hollow gap in the center of the waist, I quite like how that looks. And dark blue and silver is an exceptional color scheme, especially with the amount of silver that is actually on here. A well-armored Skakti, that's a good Skakti in my books. The blaster arm here is also rad. Using some of these Knights Kingdom armor pieces on the legs, even better. What a great mock. Alrighty, that's it for this Piraka and Skakti themed episode of the Bionicle Inspiration series. Hopefully if you're building some Bionicle related characters, this gives you a few ideas. If you liked the different mocks that I showcased today, be sure to check the links in the description below and see more from the builders that I highlighted. Additionally, if you thought this episode was cool and you're like, I'd like to see some of my stuff on this Bionicle Inspiration series show, well, if you'd like your mocks to be featured, you can submit them to the submission email that's currently on your screen. That's the only way to have your mocks featured on the show. It's just so that every single submission is in one place, and that way I don't have to be looking in 7 different locations on the internet to find every single submission. But yeah, send me an email and I'll do my best to feature your mock in an upcoming episode. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Happy building, and bye for now.